Hello, this is Professor Scott Norman in the Automatic Transmission Lab at Pittsburgh State University, and we have another video on clutch service. This is our third one that we've done so far, so I'm trying to pick some different clutches as far as removing of the clutch and the different procedures that are out there for there. So today we are working on a coaxial style compressor. It's a single acting wobble plate. Ooh, I see some valving in the back of it, so it is. So there's a valving right there, so it is variable displacement. Does have this threaded bolt on here, and also your blow-off valve. That kind of makes it weird to kind of work on the compressor unless you put it in a vise. So I just got some press tools, some drivers that I put on there to help keep it flat, so it's easy to look at. So when I take a look at this, you know, the pulley seems like it's doing pretty good. The hub itself spins nice and freely. It seems like there's a pretty decent air gap in there. So in fact, I could hear it pumping a little bit. So I'm not quite sure why this one was replaced, but we're going to take a look at the clutch itself. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the nut off the hub, and what I noticed really unique about this particular compressor is I see threads in the inside of that hub. So anytime I see threads, I think polar. So just keep that in mind. That is your first visual inspection. If you see threads, and if you don't have these special tools, it becomes very hard. If there's no threads anywhere, then you may get lucky and be able just to take the hub off with some screwdrivers. And so we're going to use our universal hub holder tool, and we're going to somehow get it wedged in there the right way. And sometimes I have, oh, there we go, right there. It's like you got to sometimes turn it upside down, and oh, that wasn't on very tight. So we're going to take that nut off. I could probably hold it with my hand the rest of the way. And the hub has the bolt holding it on, and there should be no washer underneath it. If I see a washer down underneath this nut, I'm concerned that somebody did something weird with it. They took the screwdriver. They took the spacer that we used to adjust it, and they moved it around. And so. Okay, so the next thing is that we're going to use this special toolkit, and again, this is an OTC special toolkit. It's a AC clutch hub removal and installation kit, part number 4535, XBX Corporation, but it's a very good toolkit. So when you take a look at it, I don't want to flip it out, but it has all these different pullers and stuff like that in it in order to be able to pull a hub or maybe even a pulley out. And so the key is that I got two pieces that are the same. I got one's an installation tool and one's a removal tool. So I take the removal tool, and the center piece threads out, but it has a point on it. So the point's going to go right where the input shaft is, and I'm going to thread this piece in. And so the outside piece, get it in straight, maybe, there we go. So throw it in. So at that point I need 2 wrenches, and what do I have here? That guy's probably gonna fit there we go, and I got my crescent wrench there. And I'm gonna hold the outside nut and turn the in one, and the key is I should be able to pull this off, and it's moving. The key is if it's not moving, you got a problem. And it is tight. I am using, I mean, you can see this kind of moving around on the bench there. And I can see the air gap right there increasing. But if I tried to get screwdrivers in here and try to pry this up, it's not gonna be fun, and it's gonna damage stuff. And so the key is it's extremely tight. And so anytime you see threads, it's meant to use a puller. So if I was trying to do this down on the farm and all I have is screwdrivers and hammers, I would probably say, oh, no, sorry, Dad, why don't you take that into your buddy and have him do that? I think I gotta go take a nap. There you go. So the hub came off, and there was a dowel pin in there, so we'll make sure that we put that back in there, our keyway. So the next thing we need to take a look at and see where the snap ring is at. I do like to look at the hub, make sure that the cut surface, you know, it's not heavy grooving or anything like that. So, you know, this has been used, you know. Sometimes I'll see scoring on it, you know, got hot, I'll see it blue, I'll see it black, I'll see heavy grooving in there, and you notice like, ooh, yeah, that's a problem. Also the surface on the pulley itself. I can see on the very top there, you see a snap ring. So that snap ring is holding the pulley on. So good thing I didn't use universal puller and try to just pull everything off, because if not, I would have damaged something. So I want to make sure that when I pull that snap ring off, that I take a look at it and make sure that I don't put it backwards. So anytime you pull a snap ring off, you look at it and see how it's different sizes. So this big side right here is going to be to my right. But I take a look at the bottom, and I take a look at the top, and sometimes one side is flat and one side is beveled. The inside would be beveled because this snap ring is all the pressure is on the inside of it, and so the inside would be beveled. And so one side is flat, one side is beveled, and so you want to make sure at that point it's directional. A lot of times if you have different ends like this, it means it's directional. Pay attention to it. I tend to put it down so I know that the downside faces that way. So whatever method you have of remembering, that's what I do. I don't turn it upside down. I put it that way and that way. I put it back the same way. Okay, at that point in time, there's no more threads. There's no more anything in there. So I'm going to use the universal puller. So, I'm way off on this. I need to bring this down. But I like that this has a heavy, pretty good lip on that for this puller. So if you're going to buy a tool, you know, well, I'd buy one of these. Make sure you have some snap ring pliers. This right here is definitely one. Maybe that big monster kit you would borrow. I would probably go up to O'Reilly's and ask if I could borrow their tool kit. Unless you're doing a whole bunch of them in a shop. Okay, and then get it a little tight, make sure everything is nice and on there. It looks somewhat squared, and my wrench. And let's see how this thing comes off. Again, if it starts biting me, then I know that I need to go back and reevaluate what I'm doing. And it's tight. You're not about it. I'm putting some pressure on it. Oh, here it just popped a little bit. That's okay. It's on tight. Noise is sometimes freaky here. It's coming off. I'm gonna put this straight on the bench, by the way, guys, just so I don't hurt myself. Oh, I just went the wrong way. Silly me. Need to go back to righty tighty, lefty loosey, right? There it goes. It's nice about if you're doing this in the car that if the compressor is easy to get to, it's mounted high, then the compressor is nice and stationary. So it's an easy thing to do if you have the room. Start thinking about it, you know, you need about that much room. So transverse mounted engine, and this AC compressor is front of the frame. You might as well forget about doing something like this. So you can see how this puller is, I guess if I had a bearing splitter and a press, that would work too, but this makes it a lot easier. I don't know, if I was down on the farm, we'd rig something up, right? We'd somehow get the tractor and a hoist and a scoop and a whole bunch of baling wire, and we'd figure something out if we had to. Oh, wrap a chain around it. It's still tight. There it goes. Aha! And so take a look at the pulley itself, and you know, the bearing itself. The bearing feels pretty good. The bearing looks like on this one it's staked in, you know, so it doesn't look like it's serviceable. But sometimes it is. Sometimes I'll see a snap ring in there. A lot of times on the back, pop the snap ring out. You can put a new bearing in there. Okay, the next step would be to pull the electromagnet clutch on it, and I don't see any type of snap rings or anything like on it, so I'm gonna put this back up. Oh, I had it set up here. So, but I want to make sure though, you know, when you start pulling stuff like that, it's like, is there anything in there at all that I'm missing? No snap rings, nothing like that. So at that point, we can try using the universal puller. See if that will work. A little bit further down. Work or not. I lost my threads. I have to turn this upside down because I lost my threads on this. I can see the very top threads. I can see the very top threads on this tool are messed up. Student eyes, we'll call that. Be able to get under it. I may have to try something else. Okay, let's try a different tool. So I found a universal 3-jaw puller that has a lot more of a throw. You know, this only has maybe like 1.5 inches or so on it. So this one's a lot more, and so we'll give this guy here a try and see what we come up with. This will probably work a lot better. My guess. It's a nice puller. Yeah, let's see. We'll get my special universal wrench here, and we'll see what happens. So spin around. I'm gonna pull it off the stand so it's a little bit more stable. I'm going to turn it sideways so you guys can see. Let's just see what happens. There it goes. It's on tight though, that's for sure. It's coming off. It's coming off smooth, and that's the key. That if it binds up all of a sudden, then I'm worried about, was there a snap ring in there that I forgot about? And it's coming off, I'm watching it. You guys can kind of see it start to slide off. There it goes. So you're nice and tight on there, that's for sure. So it was on that area right there is where it was. Okay, and so I got my electromagnet clutch, and I got the hub, I got the pulley in the bearing, so that's right there, fits in there. And then I got my hub on top. So when you're looking at servicing, you know, you typically have 3 pieces. Technically you can say, well, this is 2 pieces right here. You got the bearing and you got the pulley, and somebody may argue and say, oh, but wait a minute, Professor Norman, there's 2 pieces in this guy right here, because there's the hub that's connected to the input shaft is 1 piece, and the piece that's on the that's actually the clutch material is actually two separate pieces that is combined to a dampener on this one. And this one here is a metal dampener. If I push it up, you can see springs kind of, so I kind of push it up and you can kind of see that it's connected by metal. And so it's two pieces, and you know, that's a dampener, so it helps the cushioning of the clutch when it turns on and turns off and for vibration. So our next step is to put this all back together again with the new pieces, right? I moved the compressor to a bench with a vise for the installation process, because I'm going to be because of the press fit of the coil or the hub itself. And I figured I'd be tapping and using drivers and stuff like that, and trying to hold it on the bench the way I was doing it before just wasn't very good. And so I have it lightly in the vise, and so sitting on the bottom of it, it's not squeezing or anything like that. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the coil, which is a press fit. And the issue that probably most technicians are going to have is that there's a special tool that fits right in between. There's a notice there's a lip right in there, and so you're not wanting to damage that lip at all. And so you don't want to really press on that lip and curl it over where you have a hard time installing. You know, if that lip inside there is curled at all, it's not going to be able to fit very well in your bearing, in your pulley assembly. And so there's a couple of different ways to do this. Number one, I got my electrical wiring on here. I know I need to remember which way it goes. And again, this is going to fit on this outside edge right here. And so I'm going to first just get it started straight. And I'm getting very lightly tapping it on with a rubber mallet. The key is that this is your coil, this is your windings, and you're not wanting to really hammer a whole bunch on that, because you could crack that plastic case. And so I have a very dull chisel is all I have. Myself, and the key is I'm gonna get in there on the outside of that, or the inside of that lip. I'm gonna tap it one way and tap it over here this other way. I like to see it slowly going down. If I just go and do that, it's not very, very tight, so it's not like I need to take it and press it on. But again, I'm not going to damage any of my new pieces that I'm putting on, and I'm going to get it all together again. Let's go a little bit on each side. And I see it going down. You can still see it. You can see it as it's going down in there. I can look down inside there, and I can still see nice shiny material. So it goes down just a little bit. And if you're a GM dealer, because this is a GM compressor, you probably have the special tool that goes in there. I looked around for a little bit to see if I could find it. And I found probably 100 different press tools, but none of them seemed to fit just perfect. And so I gave up. I probably spent way too long looking for it than what any technician would do. And it sounds like it's down a little bit. I'm looking here, just making sure it feels solid. No, everything looks good down there on that piece. I can see on the very top of it how it feels flush when I stick my finger down inside there. So the next item we want to install, again, that's a press fit, so there's no snap ring or anything like that that's holding that on. The next, so once the coil is installed, you're going to want to install your bearing and your hub. And again, some people press these bearings out and put new bearings in, that's fine. I've done that once or twice. These are staked. You know, a lot of times they're staked in, and when you press them out, those stakes come out. And you know, some guys will put a Loctite or something around on it to keep it from rotating in there, or try to restake it on it. I heard that Loctite works pretty good to try and put that in there. But most guys are going to order the kit, and it's going to come with the bearing, and it's going to come with the pulley all as one assembly. And so I'm going to put that on, and I'm probably just tapping on just a little bit to get it started. And again, you don't want to take and damage this face whatsoever. And it's better. And again, the pulley's not on very tight at all either. It's probably the easiest thing that comes off is the burying the pulley. And so, you know, this is a universal driver that we use for many hubs and many pulleys. And so it has a hole in it because you have that input shaft there. So you can tap that on. And again, it goes on nice and smooth. And nothing real hard whatsoever. Okay, so that bottomed out, but I do not. So I look, and you know, I'm looking at my snap ring groove right in there, and I don't see my snap ring groove quite yet. So what happened is that the inside lip there hit the inside hub of the of where the bearing rides, and so it doesn't quite. Again, this tool is not exactly the right tool number for this, but I think if I just take it and just tap it down lightly, again, the keyword is lightly tap it. It's going down until I can see the snap ring groove. Okay, so that looks like that's down all the way. Rotate it. I'm listening for any type of weird noises or anything like that, and I'm not hearing any weird noises whatsoever. Okay. So my snap ring, I already moved it twice. So did I flip it upside down? Did I not flip it upside down? I'm seeing a flat edge on the bottom. I'm kind of seeing maybe a small bevel on the top. I remember that the notch, you know, when I was looking at it on this particular one was on my left, but the bevel, I want to make sure that that there's a bevel on the inside edge right there. Again, typically it's flat on one side, and if there's a bevel, I'm going to put that bevel up. So there's my snap ring pliers. Just kind of pushing it down. It's on the top, so it's easy to work on. Okay, and I forgot my screwdriver. I'll use my chisel here, but make sure it's in all the way. Sometimes you can make it and you can tap it. Tap the ends in. I didn't hear it click, so if I didn't hear it click, I'm like, there it went. I'm gonna tap on it just a little bit more, just to make sure it's down all right. Now we're gonna try the snap ring one more time. Sometimes I could tap that snap ring down a little bit. Oh yeah, there's plenty of space in there. I like to hear it clicking, but I just maybe just didn't hear it. Okay, I think it's in all the way. The next thing we're going to get on is this hub, and the hub has a key, and I had it right here on my bench, but I moved things around about 5 times, so then it's going to be like, where'd that key go? If I lost that key, I'm going to be in trouble, and so, aha, there it is. It was socket was hiding it. So with this key, this keyway is going to fit in a groove, and I typically am going to put it in there, and we'll see if it's going to stay in there. And then I'm going to line up my groove with my shaft and put it in. And the key with this particular hub is that it's a press fit hub. It's not, there's no shim. Typically you're going to put a shim right there where those threads end on the input shaft itself. But when you look inside there, if you did that, well, those shims would just fall out. There's nothing to catch the shims. There's no lip or anything like that inside that hub in order for that to work. So this is a it's a GM compressor, and GM is, I don't know, Chrysler didn't do this. It was but GM, you know, an old Harrison Delphi compressor, but they call that the V5, the variable 5 compressor. And so These do this. The R4 compressor also will do it. Well, I'm going to turn this up, see if that keyway will stay in it. I moved the compressor horizontal because the gravity was not my friend, and I was having a problem with the cotter pin being dislodged as I was putting it in. So now I have the groove for the keyway. I keep calling it a cotter pin. The keyway is down, and then so on my hub it's down, and so hopefully gravity is going to keep it in position. And then I can look inside here to see what's happening, but the key is to get it started. And let me get my small mallet and tap it on. And you can see if that keyway is being pushed out, which it is not before the keyway is being pushed out when I was doing this. Okay, I got my hub down far enough now, and so let's try putting the bearing back on. Okay, so now I got it threaded on. I'm going to thread it on fairly tight, or at least as tight as I can. Okay, so because I don't want to pull it off, and it is a hard pull. And then I'm going to put my special tool on, and you know what? This bearing that I have is the wrong bearing. It doesn't fit over that. So I'm going to have to take this off and not use the bearing. Somebody replaced it. It's supposed to go over this threads, but it doesn't. So we'll go without the bearing. So thread this back in again. And tighten it down. Okay, and then take this piece right here, and we're gonna thread this in. And the key is that. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to see this gap right here, and that gap there is pretty wide. You know, it's huge. And as I turn this, that gap should be getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I don't like to do this with an impact because, again, I want my tools to last. And so some guys will be zipping this thing off and on with the impact. And I remember teaching with Chrysler, and a lot of technicians say, "Oh, those tools are a piece of crap. They only last us the years." And you know, I was using installation tools for 14 years, and I was doing it by hand. If you're zipping these off and on all the time with a impact, chances of them going bad are pretty good. Now, what I care about is the gap right there. So, in most compressors, when you get some type of compressor instruction kit that gives you a list of all the different compressors, but if I look at a Harrison. Okay, so it says V5 is where it's at. So V5 says it's a press fit, and 15 to 25 thousandths. So I typically say 20 thousandths. If I look at all these different adjustments, it's probably only a few. I do got one that goes up as high as 35. It's probably on the high side. On the low side, maybe 14 thousandths on the. So again, if you keep, you know, I think if you use the 20, you know, one spec is 20 to 35 thousandths. So 20 would still be okay. So the key is I tell students 20, and if you have to remember one thing, remember 20, and that way, you know, a little bit above that, it's fine. But I tend to want to adjust my my clutch clearance to the low end of the spec, because you assume is if the clutch material wears, the gap is going to get larger. So you want to go for it. So I'm going to try to get this more on the low side, and so I'm going to kind of eyeball it to where I think it's tight, and I can see it getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And at some point, I'm going to get a feeder gauge in there and see what I got. So let's go with at least a 20. Okay, so 20 does a pretty good job right there. And so we're still good. And let's see, we got to keep the center shaft. And at some point I may run out of threads and have to rethread this, but Whoop. I just run out of threads. What do I have there? Oh, let's get in a little. I'd rather be really tight with a 20. Okay, yeah, see, I ran out of thread. So what you need to do then is now it's down a lot further. So thread your centerpiece in again. Okay. And now thread your outside piece in. And let's see what we got here for. Ooh, it's getting tighter. I'm still gonna go a little bit more. You can hear it. Nice and consistent all the way. Well, maybe one more turn. I'm still going to go a little bit more. I'm going to try to get this good. I don't want to go too far because then I have to pull it back off again, which is no fun. Okay, a 20 will not fit in there anymore. So now the question is, what did I do with it? I get down past my spec. I forgot what I said already. 15, 16. Let's put a 15 in. Oh, I found a 16. I can't get a 16 in. Oh no, what did I do? So at this point in time, I can't even get a 16 in there anymore at this point in time. So I'm gonna have to pull this off, and I'm gonna have to get my other tool in there, and I'm gonna have to pull it back just a hair in order to get it adjusted correctly. And so we'll call that, you know, one of those rookie mistakes. It's like, so really it's not all that big of a deal because I just take this piece off and swap it around with my original one that again has the little point on it that's going to push on the shaft. And I don't know, I think it's probably easier to adjust out than it is to adjust in. So this time, instead of doing the inside bolt first, you do the outside bolt first when you pull it off. So you screw it in. While I'm getting this set up, anybody know what that bolt is right there on top? This this compressor is unique, and you know it's a variable displacement, but it has a sump in it for oil, and so when you add oil or you drain oil out of your compressor, that's your compressor oil bolt, and you take that out in order to drain the oil out of it. So it's just a unique thing about this particular compressor. Okay, so I'm looking at my gap right there. I can kind of eyeball it, and I'm gonna look at it and just barely see if I can get my 16 in there. Ooh, my 16 is in there, but I can barely get it out. I'm gonna do it just a little bit more. There we go, let's try that. Okay, yeah, 16 goes in, you can hear it, it's fairly tight. I doubt if I can get a 20 in there. Normally when I use feeder gauges, you know, teach a technician. I'm not looking for an exact number. I'm looking for a go and no go. A 16 goes in. Let's see if a 20 does not. If a 16 goes in, a 20 does not. 20 goes in fairly tight. At some point, the technicians are going to say, "Oh, never mind. I'm not going to do this." So what did I say the spec was on this? Let's say 25. So let's say 25. 25 should not go in. 25 goes in. I need to push it in a little bit further. So I got a 25, 25, probably need to take and put my other tool back, because I could get a 20, this is a 26. My 26 is going all the way around with it. So take this back off and put my other tool on and just do a little bit of a crank on that in order to get it adjusted correctly. And at some point we're going to get it adjusted correctly. I may need oh, hold on, let's take it, see, I took pressure off the tool and that may have changed it a little bit. If this doesn't come off, there it goes. I still think it's a little wide, so let's go with the, what did I say it was? This is a 26. 26 goes in, and I could get it all the way around, so we need to then come in and take our other tool. Start getting good at this. And so which one do we screw in first? You guys remember that? So this time we screw the inside one in first. And I like this compressor because it teaches the students quite a lot about the surface of it, and it's, once they get this one done, then it's like all the others are easy, where you have a shim and you can measure the shim and you're pretty exact as far as what you have. So how much do I go? Just tweak it a little bit, like that. See where it's at. I can still get my 26 in there, but it's extremely tight. Yeah, I can still get it in. I'm gonna go just a little bit more. Just about yay much. Okay, there we go. I can't get my 26 in anymore. Should I check my 16 or should I call it good? Let's check the, hold on, what do I got here? 10, 15. Oh yeah, 15 fits in. So there you go. It's within spec. We're going to leave it how it is. So we're going to pull this off. And the next thing on this is to put your nut on. And some of these old GM compressors do not use a nut, which, you know, it's pressed on. So I like that it has a nut. That way it just helps keep things where it is. That counter pin or that keyway doesn't tend to fall off as easy or fall out as easy. And you know, I have seen these hubs removed, so it's just falling off the vehicle. Of course, you're going to torque this down to spec. What is it, 25 foot-pounds? Compressor to engine, compressor to bracket, torque. I'm looking at the spec here. Let's see if I can read it. Oh, refer to OEM specifications is what it says. I was reading the wrong line. So get my clutch holding tool. Get it wedged in there. You guys get it wedged in there nice and tight. And I don't know, I can move this pinch around and you can see this better, but you kind of see how I, get it wedged in there. But you kind of, you gotta walk it around, see this point here and that point there. Nope, keep on going. Keep on going. There it goes right there. So it fits in there, so you just keep walking it around until it fits really good. You're able to torque it down very nice. Go one more time. I didn't have it in very good. It's nice and thin, so it's able to do this on a bench. And there we go. So there we go, the V5 Harrison variable displacement compressor, coaxial, and I want to spin it around really good. Make sure that everything looks okay, everything okay with it. It spins, it doesn't move around. Bearing spins nice. I can spin that again, pulley did. Okay, there we go. That's ready to go. This is Scott Norman, and if you're looking for more educational automotive videos, please please visit my Professor Pentane YouTube channel. That's spelled P-E-N-T-A-N-E. I'm also on Facebook, and I got a webpage. Just look for Professor Pentane. Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.